The reality with Amazon, there is an algorithm. How do you get shown on page one? So when you go to buy on Amazon, it's all about being on page one for that term you search for.
What's going on, family? I know you're enjoying the episode. Listen, but I don't know if you saw episode 117 of the Social Proof podcast, featured this guy, my brother, Jonathan Gooch, okay? And since that episode where he's talking about getting people into the home healthcare business, me and my wife were literally filing our paperwork today. So he got me in the business of getting my home healthcare business. So can you tell them a little bit about what it is that we do?
So in short, what we do is we send out registered nurses, LPNs, and CNAs to take care of medically fragile individuals inside of the home. So if you have like a mom and dad that need medication administration, or if you have a child that needs help with ADLs, which are active daily living, like being able to get out of bed and brush their teeth, we're just a staffing agency that takes care of these individuals and rehabilitate them to be able to live a normal life.
You ran it up to a 7-figure company?
Yes, a 7-figure company.
When I file this paperwork, am I going to have a 7-figure company too?
Easily. Like, you'll probably get an offer to buy your company for a couple of M's.
Give them the website, bro. and there's a discount. There's a discount already baked into the website. Yep. So you don't have to use the promo code. Just go to the website. It's already baked in. Make sure you click so you saw it on Social Proof.
And
go. What's the website?
homehealthcareblueprint.com. I'll see you guys on the inside.
Let's go. Well, welcome to another edition of the Social Proof podcast, where we find the dopest people that do the dopest stuff, proven success, okay? And today we don't have a COVID millionaire. We don't have a COVID success story. We have tenure here, like 10 years. Somebody's been in the game for a minute. So, Jaime, what's up, man?
Not much, man. Great to be here. Appreciate you having me, man. This is pretty cool.
I'm excited, man, because we were talking earlier, and you said you've been in the game for 10 years. Well, 9 years, since 2012?
Yeah, I guess in the entrepreneur world, it seems like a long time in this space here, but yeah.
Oh yeah. Wow. So I guess for those that don't know, I guess how do you normally introduce yourself to people?
Yeah, sure. So it's Jaime Davidson, I'm a co-founder of AMZ Insiders. That's our program where we help people with, but really we're Amazon sellers primarily, or e-commerce sellers. At its core, I tell people, hey, we just sell stuff using e-commerce, and Amazon's what we found is the most powerful channel to do it. And so we've got a couple big brands that we're kind of known for, that our products are known for, but really, you can sell really any product once you have the team. We have a team in Atlanta here, up the road here. We've got about 35 people here, and then we've got 200 people over in China, in Shenzhen, China, to
really
make all this happen. Yeah.
Hold on. Okay. So you said, first off, it used to be a time where if you were going to sell a product, you'd have to build a website, you have to get the product, you have to sell it, you have to ship it.
Yeah.
But you don't do any of that.
No, exactly right. Like this morning I woke up, we have X amount of sales, large sales, but all that, I don't see the product. We don't we have a website for like Shopify that we use, but really most of it all happens through a marketplace, which is Amazon. There's other marketplaces like Walmart and everything else, but they handle everything. All the products actually at their warehouses for the most part. They handle all of the shipping, logistics. Once it gets there, all the customer service, all that happens through Amazon. Actually, we handle the product.
I think that's so cool. My gosh! So you have 35 people here in Atlanta, on your staff, and then 200 in China. Explain that. What are all these people doing?
Yeah. So initially, we had the team just here in Atlanta, up the road in Alpharetta. We do have a warehouse, even though most of the products at Amazon. We have other platforms, and we stage some products here. Just most people, if you're starting off, you don't need that. That's just because we started back when we did. Right. So over time, my partner is native Chinese who lives here. I'm sure we'll probably talk about that a little bit, but used to be my next door neighbor. But we built the team here, and then over time, we've moved the team over to China, or we just expanded and grown the team over in China, and that's where we source.
I'm saying you didn't move people here and say go to China.
Yeah, no, we didn't move. He actually moved there. I should say he moved there for 2 years just to build out the team. Most people probably won't do that are watching or listening. But what a lot of people do is something similar. I'm sure even since other businesses, they'll use like virtual assistants in the Philippines. So it's the same concept. Just we had some connections in China to do that with. But it's the same concept of building your team globally. You don't have to build it all locally, right. And you can grow pretty fast.
Okay, so that's the high level of things you've done. You mind sharing like how big is your business? Like what is your like income wise?
Yeah, sure. So on the top line, we broke the nine figures. So we broke 100 million in 2000, really early 2018. From the
Really?
previous year. Yeah. So the business grew the first couple of years early. And again, e-commerce is different than, let's say, coaching and digital products. So maybe the margins aren't as high, but they're, the typical margins in an Amazon business probably about 20%, 25. As you get to real scale, maybe you're at 15%, a little bit less, but you can scale the revenue on the e-commerce probably a lot bigger and faster than you can, on most other endeavors. So we grew it fast. We're pretty proud that we keep growing a lot year over year. I mean, this past year in 2020, Chris, was massive for really a lot of people because of obviously the pandemic and everything else. E-commerce, grew even that much faster. But really, we're proud just every year that we continue to grow.
You have a 9-figure business.
Yes.
That is amazing. Yeah. I got so many more questions. Golly. All right, so before the 9-figure business, before the partnership, before the 200 staff in China, who is Jaime Davidson?
Yeah. That's a great question. No. So, no, I mean, by background, it's interesting. Your kind of typical, I'll call it, corporate climb through there. I kind of grew up in, I'll call it middle class or upper middle class up in New York. Bought into the education system. I went to U.S. Military Academy at West Point. I was a military officer.
You said you're upper middle class in New York? So your parents were well off?
Yeah, not like wealthy like you see now, but father was an engineer, then an attorney, and up in Syracuse. So we weren't we weren't ballers, so to speak, but did okay. And my I've got 3 siblings, but I had a background in the military. My dad, grandfather, all there. So through there, but really, on top of kind of the military and leadership sides, but really bought in myself. I was always into building wealth and entrepreneurship. Even then, I'd study Money Magazine back in college and all this.
Did your
stuff.
parents put that in? Did they teach you this stuff?
A little bit. I did take a liking to figuring out how to make more money. But even back then, this was back in the 90s, early 2000s. The internet was just starting. I still didn't have a total awareness of kind of the scalability of what you could do and really belief of what was possible. I did have kind of a range of belief of hey, still get a great, the best job you can get, work it up. And, but I always had, my dad was a bit of an entrepreneur. He had some restaurants, dry cleaners. So I always had that bug in me. I felt like, and I think most people do, of always feeling like in your work that, I progressed pretty well in my job, but always feeling like you're making money for someone else and sitting in meetings that you really don't want to be in. So I always had that, in the back of my head, I want something. I just really didn't know what could kind of be that breakout to do it. So I kind of just kept climbing through the corporate world. Yeah.
I just it brings up a point because in, let's say our community, African American community, there's certain things that are taught in our household, right? I'd be interested to know, what are some of the things that you learned from your parents? Because there's definitely a difference between maybe I didn't grow up poor, but there was still some of the restrictive mindset in our community that's taught. Yep. What are some of the things that you're taught in your household that you realize, because you have a staff of, I'm sure, just culture everywhere, right?
Sure.
What were some of the advantages you think you had growing up based on?
Yeah, it's probably, it's a great question. It's stuff that you probably don't realize until you maybe reflect upon it or you pose the question. It could be, some of the things, my parents divorced when I was young. My dad was an attorney. And even though I say we weren't he wasn't super wealthy like you see some of the guys, but he did have a lot of cars. He had 3 Jaguars, he had 2 Mercedes, and my mom really had very little. And even so, I kind of had this back and forth, between the two. But
that's interesting.
So, you're in this world, where you see kind of a level of wealth in his friends. I'd say, I'd say, Dad, what does that guy do? When I was 12 or 13, he's got the guy you showed me, he's got 13 cars or something. And my dad would say, oh, well, he's, he has his own business. He sells this widget this little gasket to the railroads. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I never learned that in school. What does that guy do? He's like, oh, well, he's got his own installation business and he does really well. And it's interesting. You don't learn that in school. So I did have some exposure, I think, to some people around that and a level of, belief of just seeing people around you. Sure. And again, it wasn't all like that because, it wasn't until years later that I eventually got into entrepreneurship. But, I do think, when you see that up close and personable, you do have probably a little bit more belief, and it's not as foreign.
Absolutely. So in college, you're studying this entrepreneurial thing. I too was studying entrepreneurship. Never really amounted to anything. I guess my wealth building was like network marketing.
Yeah.
Because it was the first time I saw like people making money. Like, yo, I could do what that guy did with no degree.
Yeah, you can see like at least there's some path, even if it's a tough path. Or I'm with you. And I was studying. I mean, I on my own was into kind of entrepreneurship, but I was studying like economics and system engineering. So it wasn't I wasn't truly on a path of entrepreneurship, but I was just really my mindset still was then kind of leadership and then the corporate climb. So I still had a lot to learn.
Right. And then after college, what happened?
Yeah, so after college,
you graduated?
Yeah, I graduated. Yeah, so at West Point, you have a commitment to in the military. So I had
so after high school, military led to college.
So actually, my military was college. So West Point's a military academy. It's a college, but you like the West Point Naval Academy, Air Force Academy. So it produces officers in the military. So I had really good education, a lot of engineering, that kind of stuff. But then I had basically a 4-year commitment in the military. So I was in Savannah, Georgia as an Army officer, leading soldiers and going around, all that kind of stuff. But even when I was doing that, I was still like looking at the USA Today paper, like, I need to find a way to make money. Because as an officer, I made like 30 grand, And so I was like, I set up like a vending business while I was in the military, like little peppermint patties, just, something like I need something to make some extra money. So, that was, just still trying to break out and figure out. Because the same thing you said, I didn't really know, what can I do to, where it doesn't take all my time that I can start making some more money.
Exactly. And so you were in a career as an engineer before you started Amazon?
So there I was like, I was in a I was in the I was in a few thousand banking. I ran Home Depot. So I was like a hired gun to be like eventually a senior leader. So I was in kind of some analytical stuff in banking, but then I was a chief operating officer and a CEO of two different for-profit education businesses. Gotcha. So basically these investors would hire me to drop me in a company to see if I could help them grow it.
Gotcha. Yeah. How do we, because that sounds like a 6-figure career.
Oh, yeah. So I did pretty well on that. I mean, I think the most I made, I got close to just under about like $500,000 a year on that. So that was, which actually
boys and girls, you can make a lot of money at a job. Okay. You don't have to be an entrepreneur. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. So it was interesting though. It was still, I mean, when I was the COO or CEO of a company, I was still, I still had like a board of directors I reported to, and I was still technically an employee because I had like a minority share of the company. But
hold on. How'd you get there? I mean, they hired you, and then, or did you build it with them?
Yeah. No, it's a good question. So, the short version of it is, when I was out of the military and I was hired in banking and I was leading a small team, then you get a little bit bigger of a team, and then I kept getting promoted. And even through that, I was getting promoted. I would still see layoffs and all this stuff. So still some of the negative stuff that you don't like. But with that, the amounts came bigger, but a couple different companies. It was really it was kind of almost a segue into entrepreneurship. Like these investment bankers I met, they said, "Oh, you should probably go. You should go help run companies." There's a whole segment of industry and about these private equity or venture guys will go and put a lot of money into deals. And as these guys put money in deals, then they need guys to run these. They need operators to run these companies. Let's say it's a $20 million business and they want to get to 50, 100 million. A lot of times the entrepreneur that was good at getting it from 0 to 10 or 0 to 20 isn't great to getting it to 50 or 100. So I was one of those guys for a couple of those deals.
Just so I'm understanding, because a lot of these terms I'm just now learning in terms of like investment banking and private equity. Stuff like that.
Yep.
So
I was the same way, until I actually got involved with it. Yeah.
Right. So there's a company, let's say we get together, we say, okay, we're going to start a private equity firm and say our whole business model is based on giving money to other businesses to grow, and we take a percentage?
Yeah, exactly. It's essentially it's like using your example. So if we get together, let's raise a fund, and we're going to raise, like we say, some of these guys are bigger. Let's say they raise $100 million, $200, $300 million. Let's say we're going to raise $50 million. Yeah. And then what we do, you and I go find institutional investors. So think about all these universities. A lot of these have endowments. They have huge pools of money that they want to deploy and invest. And they say, okay, we're going to give you a couple $1 million.
Institutional investors. So let's say a college, they have a fund.
They have like an endowment, like alumni from that school. They have these endowments. They have these pension plans. They have a lot of these schools, or not only schools, it could be different groups, or think about people in, let's say Texas, all these people have oil money. There's a lot of people in the US that have a lot of money, but they're looking for ways to deploy that money to invest. So, entrepreneurs and everything else, they would love to. And right now, actually, as we speak now, it's just finally more and more of that money people are realizing, not just in e-commerce and stuff we do, but any kind of, entrepreneurs that are building these things in the digital age, people are realizing like, ooh, we were putting our money in oil and gas before, but now there's some challenges there, regulations. Let's find really smart entrepreneurs like, oh, David and these guys. Okay, you guys are doing some cool stuff. Maybe we can help you guys with some investment. And there's different stages of that, like venture, private equity is a little bit, maybe once the business is a little bit bigger, like maybe it's at 10 million, 20 million. So there's all these different stages where, they're not great at running businesses, entrepreneurship, but they would love to get behind something, especially as a cause or a mission behind it too. So yeah, that's.
So at school, let's just say Yale, right? Mm-hmm. They have an endowment, a pot of money, and they'll take that money and invest it in like entrepreneurs or real estate or a business or something like that. Absolutely, I don't know why I thought when they get money, it's just they're sitting there to pour it back into the school. But their goal is to...
It's a little... I mean, there's the money from the school itself where they're using it for, operating their school. Mm-hmm. But there's different... And this isn't my expertise in terms of how they... these different things. But there's also, if you think about it, like in the endowment, like at Harvard or Yale, they're massive. Even like the Westminster School here, if you think about the big schools here in Atlanta, I mean, they have the largest endowments in the country, I think, of any private school, hundreds of millions of dollars. So they have these separate funds, or, think about individual families of, that are really wealthy from generational. They'll have large, trust funds, everything else. They have these funds, and, they'll put them in different things. Some will be like super safe, like just cash or bonds. And then there's segments like, hey, we want to grow this money faster. And so yeah, they'll take a segment of that and look to deploy that capital because it's sitting there.
Interesting. Yeah. I never even thought about it like that.
Yeah. So a lot of this space, more and more, as this stuff grows, and it's just not e-commerce stuff you do, friends of ours do. A lot of this stuff, you'll start seeing more of that. As long as you have a purpose for that investment, like, hey, I can, my business is here, but with a little bit of help and a little bit of guidance, we could get, here.
Gotcha. So there's a company that wants to grow, and they bring you in and say, we want you to help grow it, but outside of the salary, you're going to take a percentage of that.
Absolutely, yeah. They want an aligned incentive, so they might say for this is kind of this is pretty typical model. They'll take, maybe 15% of the equity of the company, sometimes maybe 20%, and they'll say we're going to deploy that just for the management team that comes in. So if we hire you to come in for this thing, it's like, we're going to give you nice equity, and our goal is we're going to use our capital. We're going to grow this thing, and we're going to sell this business, by the way, in like 4 years. And we're going to try to sell it for triple what it's worth now. And then you're going to get a nice check, and you're going to get a nice check, and so forth.
I like that. So when you left the company, did you still have that? Do you still own the percentage now?
Yeah, great question. I still do. So usually these private equity, they transact and get rid of, they sell the company to maybe a bigger private equity or to a strategic company out there that would be like, this would be great. Actually, the deal was supposed to exit right before, about 3-4 months before COVID. And our private equity group was like, we're going to hold off. Like, it's a really good deal. It's going to be a lot of cash for everybody. We're going to hold off. And then COVID hit, and this business where we have a lot of physical locations, took a hit. That business took a hit. So we'll see. So that one, I wish they had exited it. That one, I wish they had exited. My business has been doing well, but that business, so they've had that business longer than 4 years, but that's just, that's the nature of that business. There is risk involved.
But this was what, 12 years ago?
Yeah, a long time. This business held off. Like these guys held on for a while. So that's unique. Usually it's like 5, which is fine. Cool. That's just, when that exits, I'll get my whatever, wherever it
exits. It's like retirement bread. Like you did it years ago.
Yeah. Which is not common. Or, other ones, there was a company that reached out to me yesterday, and I think you'll probably start experiencing too, where they're like, we're doing XYZ. We'd love for you to potentially be on the board or be an advisor for us. And same thing. Usually it's like, hey, they don't want to pay a lot of capital because I'm not going to be an employee, but like, hey, we'll give you we'll give you some equity in the business. Yeah.
What's going on? Listen, entrepreneurs, coaches, service providers, you want to add instant credibility to your brand? Become a published author. People look at you differently, all right? So my brother Ash Cash is giving a game on how to become a self-published author, okay? How to write and publish your own book easily in his new online program. Now, Ash got over 10 years experience. He's been an author for over 10 years, but not only being an author, he's sold over 70,000 books and 4 bestsellers. I mean, featured on every single outlet you can think of without a publicist. That's absolutely amazing. Now, he's got this new program that's going to teach you everything from writing and publishing your own book in 90 days or less. Imagine if you listened to this 90 days ago. Today, you'd be a published author. Look at that. He's also going to teach you how to sell massive books like he's done, okay? All independently, okay? So go to incomefrombooks.com. Incomefrombooks.com. And for a limited time only, you'll get 40% off the normal price. You don't even need a promo code. So go to incomefrombooks.com, build your impact while building your income. Back to the episode.
So yeah, you can do a lot of those deals right over time and help. Like, I don't know what you're really good at. I'm not probably really good at. So if I'm doing that, like, hey, can you come and help us do, some of this digital stuff? We'll give you X percent.
Okay. All right. So you're speaking directly to the coaches out here that are helping these people grow businesses that there are corporations that would like your help in the same space and give you a percentage.
Yeah. And sometimes it's, and sometimes, if it's could be a smaller business that, wherever you can add value, it's the same concept. You can add value to them. Then it's worth your time and it's worth theirs. Yep.
All right, let me know if you need help with this 9-figure business you got. Okay? Let me know we can run the media department.
Yeah.
All right, so you're obviously doing well. You got a percentage of the company. You're making almost $500,000 a year. How do we pivot? How do we get into another space?
Yeah. So we had my next door neighbor. When I moved into Atlanta, my next door neighbor, literally next door, like from here about 100 feet over, in our little neighborhood, St. Marlow up in Johns Creek area, that native Chinese got young kids. We got young kids, and they're playing with each other. And he's selling cell phone cases out of his garage, pretty much. I mean, he's selling, not literally selling, he's storing them in his garage.
2012.
2011, when I first moved in. And I'm like, whatever, it's kind of funny he's selling them out. But he was an IT consultant, had a regular job, just like I did. And it was just like a side hustle for him. Like, if you know people that sell stuff on eBay or sell stuff, whatever. So I didn't really take it that seriously initially, except it was more and more and getting busier and busier. And I'd go hang out and we'd have drinks together, a lot of nights and just have fun and talk. And then that started growing faster and faster. And I started, he was really technical, but he didn't really know like strategy or how to hire a team or all that stuff. So I was just kind of helping him for fun there. He had another partner, actually, who's since passed away.
So hold on. So he was selling on Amazon?
Yes, he was starting to sell on Amazon. Before that, he would say, he sold on eBay a little bit. He sold on Black Friday. He would go out, he'd run around to the stores back then and buy like, computer monitors that were on sale, buy all the stuff on sale. And that's called retail arbitrage, and turn around and sell it for a profit. So he was just like hustling, trying to make extra money. He was making like 6 figures as an IT consultant, maybe, 150, 200K, but traveling all over the country. And he got into it trying to, Jason, his name, to try to replace his wife's income, because his wife was making around 90,000 and wanted to stay home with the kids. So his goal was to sell stuff to try to replace that. The goal was only to try to replace that 90K.
Oh, I like that.
But which I think, a lot of us can relate to.
That's super noble. That's cool. Like, I'm just going to create a business to replace my wife's income. Now that's goals. Goodness gracious.
Yeah. So that was, And so what happened is that, with him being native Chinese, and he'd been in the US forever. He's been here, for 25 years now. I think he had some connections and friends in the China side, and kind of word got out before really anyone really realized that you could sell on Amazon, how this thing worked. And there was very little competition, people didn't really understand. Even now, I'm sure people, when they buy from Amazon, they think, oh, I'm buying from this product. Like, I'm buying, when you go to the grocery store, I'm buying from that company. Mm-hmm. You don't realize like you're actually buying from me.
Right.
Right. Or if you have a product. Amazon does sell their own stuff. About 40% of the stuff is technically their, sold by Amazon, but really 60% is just sold by entrepreneurs across the globe. And so when people think, oh, these mom and pop shops are being shut down because of Walmart, because of this, which is true, that over the years happened, what they don't necessarily realize is like, well, there's hundreds of thousands of entrepreneurs like ourselves that have all been selling, but you just don't see us. We're just selling, behind the computer screens.
So Jason is going out Black Friday, getting stuff, selling it on eBay, just flipping.
Yeah, just flip. Exactly, flipping. People still do this now, but it's tougher. and you have to really want to hustle in that way. But once we realized iPad cases, the iPad when it came out was one of the things. So these products were cell phone cases. They're really light, and they sell for a lot of money. So the market
was selling those already.
No, just started. We really just started in 2011.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So that's like one of the ideal products. It's why it's the two most competitive things to sell in e-commerce and Amazon are cell phone accessories, cases, and then like supplements. Because supplements, people have to keep rebuying them.
All right.
So it's super cutthroat. But we were in that space, really early. And
then when you say we though, because it wasn't y'all at first.
No, it's just him. You're right. Exactly. So
how did you get into this deal?
Yeah, so just and helping him early on. So he offered me, he said, you should come do this. And to the conversation earlier, first I said no, because I was just making, what I consider too much money in the corporate side, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So it's, there's advantages in some cases getting entrepreneurship when you're not doing that well,
100%.
Because the barrier is not as high, right? Yeah. So just like I'm sure for yourself right now, if it was like, hey, go take some other opportunity and give this up, it's like, well,
Right.
That's a problem.
When I left my job, I was working at the Cheesecake Factory, and I was there for 6 years. And I started this t-shirt brand, Sleep is for Suckers. So it's geared towards entrepreneurship, people losing sleep, doing what they love. And so after 2.5 years of building the brand, I left my job because in my mind, I'm like, if it doesn't work out, I can always come back and get a serving job. And I was only making $30,000. I'm like, I can replace $30,000. But I feel super blessed because I wasn't making six figures, because if I was making six figures, I might not have left so fast.
Yeah, no, that was the tug all the time for me, because even though you said, yes, you can make, and it's all relative, when you're making X amount of dollars, you again, you end up spending more. So if you're making, 100, 200K, when I was younger, I was like, oh, if I made a 200K, that would be, I'd be set, right? But then when you make 200K, you're like, oh no, you got to make more than that,
right?
Right. And your wife and spouse, like, hey, that's not enough. That was a challenge. So we talked about a few different scenarios. Now the flip side, I really wanted to do it because the whole idea of entrepreneurship and like really driving everything for yourself or with your partner is great. It was just like, so I had the frustrations in terms of still like reporting to somebody and these deals they don't always work out and everything else. So I just felt like I was still kind of a glorified employee, even though I was, it does sound, private equity and all these cool things.
Partner, stuff like that, yeah.
But yeah. So there's another partner. Again, he passed away previously, but the three of us eventually became partners. But Jason, my one partner, was the first one. So he has the majority, around there. And then we had to put in investment to get involved in there.
What was that conversation like though? Was it just say, yo, hey, come on, y'all get thirds of my company? Or?
No. It's well, depends. One thing it helped that I early on was involved and had the ability to add value to the team. It had it's funny, is whatever you're good at, you take it for granted at times, which is really hard. Like when I'm watching you guys do the camera, I'm like, oh, that'd be a total pain for me to set all this up. Like I would screw this up. I need a team to handle it, right? But it's same thing, like for him, it was like, how do I hire a team, Jaime? Like, I know how to do that, So, how do you do X, Y? Now he was really good at systems and technology and how to go about things. And then, and then we learned to get good at certain things, like how to get really good about your product, make your product really good and add value. So it's different ways from that, but it does come down to like value. And sometimes it's like, you can buy into the deal if it's
for sure.
Good. Yep.
Okay. And so you guys are partners and we just start rocking.
The business is growing pretty well. It's not always like, any business too. And again, when I was running or part of companies and businesses, it's like when you're an entrepreneur, it's like, whether it's 8 figures or 9 figures, people, people get caught up in the number. When you're, as an employee, if you may be working for $1 billion business or, a multi-billion-dollar business or 100 million. So I've been in those environments all the time. But when you're growing it as part of a team, and there's always issues with the business too. So we've had, there'll be, for us, it could be things around Amazon itself. They could like suspend you for a time period. We were like to get our business where it was, we did a lot of really aggressive things. So people we help and coach, they don't, you can definitely avoid those issues, but that was almost a strategy. We really pushed the envelope. So we would push, they have their rules. We would kind of jump over their rules until they would slap us on the wrist.
Gotcha.
But, there'd be, you can have patent infringement. So it's not like it's always, as you grow, there's always different challenges that you go through. When you guys watch stuff on YouTube, you'll see all the positive stuff, but you won't see, some of the setbacks as well too. But overall, the business is growing really well. And
give me one of the first. I want to know like how it grew. Like when you came on, do you remember like I did? We did this year and then this next year. Do you remember the track of like how much did y'all do your first year when you came on board?
Yeah. So at that point, we got to like the business was already about like we got to 10 million really quick. So when I
got to 10 million really quick.
Because it just took off initially with this. Like once we knew and again I say we the time just because I was at the house always from the beginning, and then I kind of more formally came in a couple years later. But I could see the growth. That's when I was like, all right, I want in. But the dynamic of this product, once you knew we could sell it, throughout the U.S. e-commerce, you didn't need a physical store. It got to we got to 10 million in as I was coming aboard was at that part. But in 2000,
and he was already doing well.
Yeah. So the business is growing fast. Now again, e-com profit wise, that's a couple million in bottom line. But we have a team. We have there's some expenses, everything else. So, but we could quickly see from the time I was aboard with that every dollar we made, we try not to put. People think how much money you make. We didn't take much money out of the business. Yeah. So we weren't taking that money and saying, let's go buy a bunch of cars. Let's go buy, because we knew that money was so valuable to put back into the business. We could grow really fast. So I got to keep the year straight. The business was doubling the first couple of years. Got to 20 million and I want to say, 14 and 15, 16. It got to 40 million. It got to, I think 15, we were at 70 million in like 16. It was big. We bought one brand that helped us. It was in a related space that was doing about 10 million. So we added that to the mix. But I know the numbers can kind of like some people almost can't relate to it, but that's why I say the growth. So we grew to the 100, we got to like the 60 million. We actually plateaued a little bit and we had a big team. That's where my partner moved to China to like build out we couldn't grow much more unless we got that next team. So
what did you do to continue to sustain that growth? And then what happened? Why did you plateau?
Yeah. So the early days, again, people, the reality of it is, here's the thing, when you're selling on a platform, so like Amazon is a marketplace, right? So you can either sell your product yourself. If you have, say your t-shirt business, you can sell everything yourself, or you can use a marketplace that brings the customers. You don't have to really, you still have to drive traffic and everything, but the customer's already on Amazon, right? So when you do that, the reality is like the same thing with social media, right? You're on Instagram, you're on this, there's an algorithm, right? And so there's an algorithm and there's ways to understand how to, you want to call it game the algorithm. The reality with Amazon, there is an algorithm. How do you get shown on page one? So when you go to buy on Amazon, it's all about being on page one for that term you search for. If you're not on page one, very few people are going to page 2, page 3, page 4, right? And so we understood that. There's a group of us that understood that really quickly about how to get to page one.
Give us the game. How?
Yeah. So now it's changed a lot too. Now I will share that we don't teach this. We don't share this. At the time it's called black hat technique, super aggressive. We've met with Amazon and we've told them, hey, if we hadn't done this, we probably wouldn't have had if we followed all your rules, we wouldn't have had a business.
Right.
And they're like, yeah, we know.
So they knew.
Yeah. So they knew, but they didn't know. I don't know, like a new app now is Clubhouse, right? Or whatever the new app is. Like the entrepreneurs are faster to figure out how to quote unquote game and figure out ways to do it because there's money at stake much faster than these platforms can really understand. Like they put these rules in place initially. And we're like way ahead of it, right? Yeah. And then now over time they catch up and they really figure out like, how to do it. And you got to make sure you play within the rules. But early on we had, again, we had IT backgrounds and my partners, like we'd have I love sharing this, but we had all these different computers that set up. They would all buy our product.
It's just us. I'm not going to tell nobody.
They would buy, they would buy products, and so it would elevate. Like in other words, it looks like it's buying the product. Right? This is like, don't do this. But you basically think about like 100 computers all buying our products, and the orders, like maybe the orders don't actually get delivered, right? Because like we're saying we're going to deliver the order. You're going to buy 100 cases for this order. Bam, bam, bam. So we're up there right away. Back then, reviews, there's a lot of, manipulation around reviews. And so, if Amazon caught on that, they would say, don't do that. We'd say, now our competitors would do the same thing, right? The top competitors.
Right.
Now behind it, you had to build a quality product. If your product sucked, doesn't matter, right? If you're selling a t-shirt, cell phone case, whatever it is, the product sucks, you're not going to go anywhere. So we did have to be really good at that. It's just like if you have a course or program, it has to be good, right? So our product was good. Our cell phone case was good. But the method to get you there, if you're selling, again, if you're offering whatever on YouTube or on, whether it's a podcast, whatever else, again, you have to be aggressive to get out in front of the crowd. But you don't want to be so aggressive that you're going to get kicked off the platform. So nowadays there's different things, which we can share some of those things as well too.
I like the philosophy though. It's like when you jump on a platform, there are going to be some loopholes, but as an entrepreneur, it's your job to figure those out. Mm-hmm. And then eventually the company catches up. Like just how, there's the strategy on getting followers. Like you get to this super high level and then Instagram says, hold on, you guys are buying followers. Those aren't real followers. Oh, but by that time, you're verified. You already have a following. People.
It's exactly the same concept. It's literally, that's what I love about, we really got in the digital space and coaching about 3.5, 4 years ago. But part of it was like, this digital stuff is actually, they all kind of converge, right? So it's like your skill sets in the digital world. And it's like, I want to sell a product. I've built a brand. Let me sell my product now. Vice versa. Like, hey, we're good at this, the digital game. So it's the exact same philosophy on these different platforms, just difference between a physical product and a digital product.
All right. I want to get into the game or how we make that happen, but I do got to ask a question. It's a personal question. So I'm seeing a lot of people that do, they'll sell you an Amazon store or they'll sell you a Walmart store. You seeing that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Do you guys do that?
We do not do that. It's an interesting, so it's in everything. Of course, you always do your homework and figure out the entrepreneur. Because these guys hit me up all the time. Like, you should, even when again, they must just be, I don't know if they're virtual assistants or whatever, even when they know or they see like, what we do for a living, they're like, oh yeah, we should help you open a Walmart store or open an Amazon store.
And they run it for you and they run it for you, yes. Right?
Yeah. So there's something we're treading carefully into even offering that because we always want to be, provide real value and authentic. And I'm always like a little skeptical of something where it's just like, just do this. If it ever sounds too easy, right? Like in life, then you want to be skeptical. But
that's what they're saying, Jaime. Like, you put up 25,000 or 20,000.
Yeah.
We'll open a store and outside of, you just put a card on file and that buys the product to send to the customer after they order. And so this is what I'm saying. I want to know your perspective. So you're the customer, you come to my website, said is running my store. So when you buy it, I put my card on file and said runs the card that I have on file to buy the product from the company and then says running my store, he sends it to you, everybody's happy, and I just make my money back plus a percentage, then said takes a certain percentage of that, right?
Yeah. And so to me, this would be my take is let's say there's 100 people offering that service. I think there'll be a small percentage of those guys that can legitimately do that for you. And I know some people in my networks, the guys that are doing this, and I'm like, okay, let me understand your operation, what you're doing. They need to be really good at what they're doing. Mm-hmm. And we've discussed, doing that. We're also discussing buying brands because we know, we have our methodology and system work. So if you're with someone who really knows what they're doing, then yes, it's essentially, you're investing your money and you want to get above average returns, or you could do that with real estate. You could do that with whatever. Now, I also think there's a lot of people out there that will say that really don't have the experience on Amazon and success that will pitch it because it's a lot of money and they'll go out and we'll see in a couple of years and you'll be like, hey, what the heck happened? What happened to my return? So I do think it is risky unless you're with someone that you trust and you know about. So that would be the big thing, which anyway, I just think, I would just make sure you vet the track record. Because again, there could be guys that learn to sell on Amazon or Walmart, whatever you hear, for the last 2 years. And they're like, they're going to raise $5 million, but they really have no idea how to handle that amount of money and run these systems and everything else. But for those that truly do, if they're offering it, then yes, they operate it. But I'm personally a little skeptical of that.
Why are you skeptical? Just because it seems too good to be true?
Oh, I'm skeptical of the operator, the guys running those businesses. Like a lot of the guys, I know we know how to run our business. We have team, we have all this stuff. I know people out there that I know how to do these. So if you tell me one of these people that I know, I would trust those, certain guys. But some person I've never seen that's, messaging me on Instagram about a Walmart store, I'm like, I don't think so.
Yeah. And you're considering getting into the business. Have you ever officially, not officially, but unofficially done it for a friend or?
Yes. I've done it and sometimes that's why, like, in the digital side, we're not the best at, or these guys that are super aggressive in these new marketing trends and let's do that. I'm like, they're probably faster and better at us on that, like the marketing and growing a business that way. We're a little bit more, we're good at what we're good at. But once we understand it, we'll go ahead. So there's a fine line between what you describe, what I'll call just done for you, which is kind of what you're describing. There is a big demand for people like, I don't want to learn everything and you just do it for me. And, or maybe have some involvement with it, but you guys do all the heavy lifting and I'll invest in that too. So I do think that is another model. I'm seeing that trend more and more. And again, that doesn't have to be with e-com. It could be with digital products. Man. Yeah, you're seeing it too. Yeah. So that I'm probably like, ooh, we should stay up with that. But it's to answer your question. I have done that with, there's a guy who's an executive in the retail space that's like, hey, I want to get in this Amazon stuff. Can I put in a couple $100,000 or $100,000? I think it's probably about 150 you put in, and you guys run it. And I want to be involved for my percentage. And so I said, yes, let's do that. We'll do a smaller brand. He's a partner in it, but he's put in some cash, but he doesn't have to do anything.
Got it. Okay. All right. So right now you don't necessarily recommend it because you want to see or vet the people doing it.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, what I see is like even, what it can give any of our industries a bad name, like any coaching. What's that?
I was really about to invest $25,000.
Were you?
Yeah, that's why I'm at. That's why I say it's a personal question.
No. Well, it's. I'm not saying don't do it. Again, it's conversation of like, hey, just vet the person, and if that's not to say I know every person that is worthy, but just that's like anything. If you guys are going to put any of your money into something, it usually comes down to the team behind it, coaching. So, just be buyer beware.
Right. Okay.
That's all.
All right, cool. So you teach a lot of students how to do their own Amazon store. Okay. How many students do you have?
We have about 500 students.
Wow. Dang. All right. So teach me, because I might not have to spend $25,000 on a store. I can just work with you so tell me about your program, what you do.
Yeah, sure, David. So what we do is we got into it, which was 2017. We did it because we thought the coaching, digital, we thought, well, we're actually pretty good at this. And we saw all these people out there coaching and teaching this stuff. We're like, we don't know any of these guys. And we know most of the big sellers in the space because like anything, you become, whether buddies or competitors. And we're like, well, none of our guys are willing to do that, but we can, I had the previous background, I said in for-profit education. And so I understood a little bit training and coaching. So we decided to get into it. One, because we think it's a good business, the digital space, so that it could be sizable. Two, we thought, we actually can help people in the space. Right. And it's also been great just from our skill set standpoint and getting to know people like, things like influencer marketing, all these things in the digital space we knew very little about. Now it's part of our product. So it helps our own business to get out and meet people like, yourselves or say Grant Cardone's, all these guys that do it a little differently than our stuff. It's made us better. But that being said, we do basically a coaching program. Some people just want, like a course, content. We thought, well, this stuff it's not super hard, but it's hard enough that you need to know where all the puzzle pieces go. Yeah. So we said, all right, we'll give you guys, let's add in the coaching piece where you can have access to myself. I've got a couple 7-figure sellers that went through our program that now do 7 figures.
Really?
Absolutely. I mean, again, Amazon, to get to 7 figures is good. It's not like, this isn't like, wow, I can't believe we got there. There's a lot of people that have gotten to that spot.
From your program? Yeah,
from my program, and then people that we know out there, that's because, it's a real product. It's really, again, 7 figures, you're not going to, you're not making $1 million, you're making X 100,000. but you're in a good spot. You can be
That's
making.
still cool. I got to preface it, JB. So a lot of our audience, they're like the beginning entrepreneur, or kind of just been in their own little space, maybe selling their t-shirts or hoodies, and they're making a couple $1,000s a month. So if you become a 7-figure Amazon seller and you're just, let's say 20%, you're making $200,000. They're just as excited as I am. That's amazing.
That's cool. Actually, the one thing I will share, or not the one thing, but to me, one of the coolest things.
I'm sorry. It's so cool because you just like, I trust you even more because you say it's casual. You say, I mean, it's $1 million. I mean, it's a couple $100,000. That's why I trust you even more. I'm like, all right, I need to see what this course is talking about.
No, it's good. Again, I'm saying, well, trust me, when anyone gets to that spot, that's how and again, I know not just the e-commerce, the entrepreneurs I'm around, like they're hungry for more. None of these guys are like, hey, we're done, we're quitting, we're going to go sit on the beach. Right. One, it's kind of fun too. We love this stuff in the entrepreneurial game. But the really cool thing about the Amazon space, and I've been trying to say physical products more than Amazon, because it's really about selling your product, not necessarily Amazon versus Wall. Because other, you can now sell via Facebook. I think Netflix is going to start selling product through crazy stuff, like all these different channels. Instagram, his ability to shop, a product through Instagram. So Amazon is just the most powerful channel, probably will continue to be, but other things may become. But the really cool thing that's happening right now in 2021, it's slowly started happening the last couple of years. So when you build a brand that does $1 million products, it could be whatever, this is one thing versus a coaching program else. You can sell that product to another person, to an investor, for a very nice multiple on that product. So if you can earn $300,000, like bottom line profit, $300,000, then you can cash out for $1 million plus into your pocket, right? So because it used to be about 3 times what you earn. The market was 3 to 4 times. Now, we talked about earlier, all these investors, private equity, institutional, they're all starting to realize like, oh, these are real businesses, real product. So there's a lot of money flowing to our digital e-com space, like a lot of money going to it. And I know that because I'm interested in buying some of these people's brands too. But now I am competing with these guys that all want to pay. It's like the housing market, There's now more demand. So if you can build one of these brands from 0 to a couple 100,000, it doesn't have to be $1 million. It could be less than that. And we held on to our brands, but some of my friends, they've done, like one of my buddies, I saw him down in Miami last week too. I mean, him and his wife have sold 5 of these brands in the last 3 years. All started within they started and sold them within less than 3 years each. And the 5 of them combined, they sold for $14 million in their pocket.
Hold on. So they start an Amazon store, build it up, sell it. Yes. Start an Amazon store, build it up, sell it.
Yep.
That's the strategy. Is that what you teach do you teach your students that strategy?
Yeah, it's part of starting the strategy. So it's this concept of starting with the end in mind. So it's like, hey, set a goal. Like, I want to start this thing and I want to exit. Doesn't mean you're not going to still continue in the business. I want to exit this widget, because when you're running the one thing about an e-commerce business is you have to pay for inventory, right? So you make X amount of money. That's why I said for us, we were pouring a lot of our money back into the business because we wanted to grow. You can take some of the money, and of course you can take salary or put it in your pocket. But if you're getting a return, you want to keep adding fuel. A digital product, you don't have to do. That's one of the advantages of a digital product. You don't really have to inventory. You may invest in marketing,
right.
Or you can just take the money yourself. But an Amazon, the advantages are a physical product. You can sell the business. And at that point, there's nothing to do with that money. It just goes in your pocket. You can decide to launch a new business or whatever else. So,
golly,
I am excited. That part gets I love seeing that for people,
for sure,
because that's pretty cool. And like I said, as the demand, the pricing to buy, like the value you can sell your business is going up like a lot right now. Like I was coming in here, a guy, one of these investment banker, hedge fund guy texted me. He's like, hey, can we talk today? They want to come in and invest to buy products. So we're looking at, buying Amazon stores from people that already started them. And the cost of that's going up because there's more competition. So, which is great for the people starting them. So, yeah.
So that's a whole market of people. So there's companies that are saying, yo, just show me some Amazon stores that are winning. I want to buy.
It's crazy right now. There's a company. I won't even say their name because don't want to give them. I'll say there's a company called Thrasio. It's like Thras.io. So this concept, same concept I'm talking about, and I have it up on my whiteboard. Sometimes we don't execute as fast as we should on an opportunity. This exact model of going out and buying brands. So I talked about it with my partners 2 years ago. We've been focused as growing our business, helping students, but they went out. These guys went and built it from zero. They were just valued at over $1 billion in less than 3 years. I think they're the first company to ever get valuation at $1 billion while being profitable, because they're just buying these brands up. And these e-commerce businesses are real businesses and they're profitable. And so, and again,
in 3 years valued at $1 billion.
It's insane. I'm looking up on my whiteboard with the same concept that, again, we're doing well, obviously, but I'm like, oh, we could have executed that too a little faster, this same concept. So we are doing it now to go out and buy, but because they're seeing how exciting it is to buy these brands, other people are doing it. So, but all this means is it's a bigger win for those that are starting from zero to get to 100K, 0 to $1 million, because there's these other guys, these big guys don't want to start the business from zero or buy it. Even yourself, hey, I want to invest the money into a store. I don't want to. But for those that are willing to build it from zero to whatever, there's a nice end opportunity, and it doesn't need to be 10 years down the road, 5. It's just like it can be fairly quick.
All right, how hard is it to do this? Okay, because I am actually my best friend. He's kind of transitioning from corporate to full-time entrepreneur, and I think this is to be something super dope he could be a part of. So how hard is it? Yeah,
that's always the question. It's funny. I had the little clubhouse for the guys in the club. I run a room once in a while about why everyone should sell a physical product. And we get people on big, massive follow on Instagram. They don't sell. They're like, ooh, let me look at this. And we had a good debate about this, because there is, I would say if it's not easy in the sense that anyone can do it that wants to do it, that puts there, but you've got to be able to execute. The biggest thing with selling a physical product, I would say, is the biggest thing that probably holds people back is just, what product do I sell? Yeah. Get into it. So if you understand what you're doing and you understand that it's not, you got to put some strategy behind it. You don't want to just sell like a Me Too product, like, everyone's selling spatulas. I'm going to get another spatula and just throw it up there and sell it. Like years back, didn't work. But if you have some understanding or some help with people to understand, like, okay, how do we get this thing on page one? How do we leverage a little bit of a digital strategy, like maybe Instagram? How do we get people's email addresses? Yeah. Right? Like 90% of people on Amazon don't do that stuff. But on our stuff, like, hey, you build a little email list, you do this, and then we have a little community of people. Oh, we're selling fitness stuff. We have a little Facebook group of fitness guys. So there's little advantages. They sound little, but they're massive advantages over 90+% of the world that just has their stuff up on Amazon. So there's kind of a step-by-step process. And with that, it's the odds of success is very good, right?
Okay. How much capital do I need to start my store?
Yeah, great question. So interesting. You'll hear different things. People say probably as low as like $5,000. Realistically, I would say 10 grand would be a good number. Now, it's not much more than that. Like even ourselves, when we're launching new products, we're not like, ooh, we've got all this money. Let's put in, $100,000 to a product. No, why? We're going to put in X amount. We're going to get our initial inventory. The order might be $3,000, $4,000, but you're going to spend some money on marketing. The guy was baking. If you're going to hire help, train, people to train you exactly what to do. With that, you're going to see make sure the product goes, and then you're going to reinvest. So, I would say in that range. I always compare it to, back in the day, we were talking earlier about, I remember my father, entrepreneurship. He wanted to buy a Kentucky Fried Chicken or McDonald's or all these franchises. That stuff costs, well, now those big brands cost millions, but any kind of franchise typically costs, $50,000 at the low, $100,000, $200,000. Mm-hmm. So the ability to get into, I'll call it entrepreneurship. If you're spending $10,000, so if you don't have any money, like, don't do it.
Right.
If you only have $5,000, like you need to pay your bills. Don't do it. But if you, a lot of people that we work with, a lot of them do have corporate jobs or making maybe, they're doing okay. Maybe they're making, $80K, $100K or more. Right. They've got, and they want to get in the game and they want to, and then there's entrepreneurs like, hey, let me,
that's me. I said, I got $10,000. I got throw something at something. Okay. Yep. So, we understand the investment. How much time, commitments would you suggest?
Yeah, it's that's the beauty of it. It's not bad at all. I mean, it's, initially there's the understanding, and I had this too. Like when I was first with Jason, what I did was I went out, I didn't know what questions to ask him. And I was like, you're selling this stuff. My questions were kind of dumb, I thought. So I just like, let me quickly just go buy my own product and start, I'm going to lose like $2,000, $3,000, just then I'll understand it. So I did that real quick before we did a deal. And I was like, okay, I didn't know what I was doing. I thought maybe magically I'd put them up and sell. But then I knew, of course, there was no coaching programs, all that kind of stuff now. But now it's like, all right, same thing. If I want to learn something, if I want to learn how to run a podcast, I'm like, dude, I pay you money. Like, just tell me what to do, and I'll understand it. So there's that, and so it's I would say probably I'll call it an hour a day, or you could really do pick a day. Let's say it's like 6 hours, 8 hours a week to get into it, to get it off. Once it's up and running, a lot of guys and friends that I meet with that are traveling, all this kind of stuff. It's like, hey, you're keeping an eye on that business, and most people have like virtual assistants that run a lot of the business. Because it's really how do you get your product ranked? Make sure it's ranked on page one, and then it's like inventory management. How do you make sure the product keeps
all
going?
the stuff you teach, right?
Of course, yeah. Those are the biggest things. The biggest one everyone wants to know is how do I pick a really good product to sell? Right. So that's where we put a lot of focus. But there, and those techniques change a little bit. Like every year the tactics change. So that's where it helps because we do it ourselves. That we have our tactics are good.
So with your students, how often do they get to actually talk to you?
Yeah, so I run a live training once a week. So tonight,
really?
Yeah. So today's Wednesday night. I've done.
Hold on. So it's not just the program. It's like they get to talk to you once a week too. And
yeah.
Like, okay.
Yeah. So there's an academy. Of course, people on demand can watch it. Everything else we do that. We update it periodically. But then, like tonight, I'll do a live training. Once I've done it for like 4 years. Wow. And sometimes myself, or sometimes we bring in a guest expert. But I do enjoy it. I get on there and do Q&A, but we'll just pick a different topic and we'll like something new, or it could be some of the fundamentals. Some weeks it's more advanced stuff, but we just mix it up constantly throughout the year. And we have a lot of experts that want to come on and share their genius. And my partners say, hey, no one knows everything, but we know, we feel like we know more than anyone else in the industry for what we show, but we pull people other in with us as well.
Wow. First off, 500 students is a lot in 4 years. So what do you experience is the reason why someone, let's say even they're a part of your course, that they don't win? What do you think the reasons are?
No, I definitely have seen this, and I've learned, I didn't know this before. And again, this applies to our prison. I think it applies to entrepreneurship, because I'm surprised so many people, a lot of people will pay us a good amount of money, and they'll be, I don't know the exact, maybe 60% of people that don't do anything, right? Like I'm amazed, like they pay X amount of money and don't do anything. Absolutely nothing. Yeah, I'm like, wow. Like I want to do that, but so that's why when we talk to someone, even though you don't need to do this, so if you're going to do that, like don't recommend for yourself to put the money in. Just, but that's why when someone comes to us and it's like, oh, we're selling like $100,000 on Amazon, or, hey, I've got a digital business I ran. When I see someone's gotten from point A to point B at any level, I'm like, ooh, that's like the hardest part, because it actually shows that they personally, it really has nothing to do with Amazon. Like I had a track record of whether it was corporate that I could hustle and get to my own career. So when I got into this, even though it was totally different, I had no background in it, I knew that I was smart enough to, ask questions and be excited about it. So that's the first thing in entrepreneurship. The same thing why when people like these private equity guys are investing like in companies, they're really just betting on people. Like, okay, I know you've got a track record. I see you've built something. And so, that's for every individual to figure out whether, you really have that in you or not. So that's one. Most of the stuff is, you got to be coachable and willing to learn. And again, I'm sure there's a ton of similarities probably, to stuff with people you help that, if you have that and the ability to, like right now, like I'm always trying to get a different tip and a different idea, or, like you have to kind of be curious, like kind of that lifelong learning. If you have that, those guys do. We have people that were in our program maybe 2 years ago, even though technically, they're not in the live one-on-one access, we still interact with them. We see them like continuing to grow and they're building their business. And I love that, of course. I'm like, ooh, I love seeing people, going out and doing things.
I was online with one of my clients. I did a call with them maybe 3 months ago. They booked a coaching session and, I did a session with them. And then yesterday, they booked another one. Well, they booked another one, and I had to call yesterday. And they asked me the same question I told them a few months ago. And I just had to tell them, yo, my answer's not changing. I'm gonna tell you the exact same thing I told you to do a few months ago. But their idea of why they want to do what they want to do anyway, I think sometimes they call back to try to get validation on their ideas on how what I told you isn't going to work. But you don't even know because you didn't try it. I told you a few months ago. So I think that's super important, right? As they invest, not coming in with your own idea of how to run a successful Amazon business or run a successful business, period.
Yeah, man, what I found is, again, to me, it's identical for entrepreneurship, whatever you call it, whatever segment of entrepreneurship and building these Amazon businesses. You always think about, oh, my competition's this, my competition's that. And I've learned, myself in life too, it's usually yourself. It's like by way bigger than anything else that can stop you out there. It's really, things like mindset and ability. And again, a lot of times e-commerce, people don't think about that, but it's totally true, right? Like and what helps with that is to be part of a group with other people. All the online stuff is great, but like, when I was down in Miami, you were down there recently, when I get around other people and some mutual friends we know, it's like, it's inspiring. It's like you get a little tidbit from someone else. And, you talked about the done for you stuff earlier. Some of my guys are doing that. I'm like, okay, we will look at doing that as long as we do it the right way to help people. But, so to be part of a group, I always say entrepreneurship is a team sport, I believe. And you need to surround yourself. I mean, the mindset, you get around some of these guys, like Spectacular and this person, or I know you had Grant Cardone on, like, it's hard to get around those people and not feel like, let's go, right? Let's go.
For sure. All right, so let's get into some of the e-commerce tips. Like some of the because there's some people that are in e-commerce now. They might have an Amazon store. What are some of like the secrets that you typically don't teach people outside of your community? Yeah, I need some of those. I need some of those.
Yeah. So, I was, we were talking earlier, and I was, again, down in Miami. There's another friend of mine, Dima, who's from Ukraine and Russia. He was known as like the black hat mafia and he super nice guy, like nice people. He was like spent years like losing this reputation of being the black hat. So we don't recommend that because
what's the black hat?
Black hat means like secret underground, like illegal tactics.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, we want those.
Yeah, you want those. Yeah, you want. Yeah. So no, you don't. I'll tell you
I like the disclaimer though. Don't do this, guys.
Yeah. So there's like super hardcore ones, which we don't recommend now that Amazon understands. Is like, there be stuff about people would say like, I received a package at my door. I think 60, like these news stories, like they'd receive a package at their store and they'd open this package. There'd be like a little nothing in the box, and people were like, I didn't order this. It's from Amazon, but it's like a little rubber ball. And they didn't realize, like, so they're not really being scammed because they didn't buy it, but there was an approach there. I'm going to give you guys stuff what you should do, but this is an example of like the stuff that people don't know what goes on. Like sending out, thousands of those little rubber ball packages that all Amazon thinks are whatever, could be a cell phone case or whatever product you sell. And that's a way we're at the top of the rankings, making millions of dollars. Amazon eventually catches up.
So that's like the thing where you say you got a bunch of computers. We're just buying and sending this stuff, and then I've got 1,000 people who've bought this, and then the reviews, and then it helps organically.
The algorithm, because then it's like the algorithm on Amazon. It's all about getting on page one. So there's 20 pages of products. Well, only the guys on page one win. So we're on page one. So I'll call it, that's the extreme. Like there's all those. You don't want to, the guys that do that, a lot of those guys are getting shut down now. But it's exactly what we're talking about with Instagram, people buying followers or buying whatever. So there is equivalence of that now you can do on Amazon that's Amazon's okay with, because you can get into your product. And it's, so, again, I'll share a couple of the ones that, so let me, and again, the good news is it's more above board, so you can feel comfortable using these things. I'll give you one that, again, very few people do. I'll give you a couple of them, but one to start off with, for example, is something called Amazon Live. So you go live on Instagram, right? I assume, right? You guys have a big following. You go live on YouTube. You live on. So what's happening is a lot of people don't realize on Amazon you can really sell a lot of product. This is kind of convergence of
They have Amazon Live?
Amazon Live. So there's an Amazon Live app that most people don't know about. If you go to amazon.com/live, it's almost like the Home Shopping Network or QVC. So you can go on there and promote your product. So you can do that. Anyone can do that.
How do people find that? I've never watched a Amazon Live.
Yeah. So what they'll do is Amazon will push that content to certain listings. It's called amazon.com/. There are people like, stay-at-home moms or whatever, go on there because it's all these deals that are being offered on there. So with your product, what you can do is there's two things. One, you can do it yourself. Like I've got it right now. I can pull out my phone and pull out, my product, guys. And, here it is. Or if you buy the product, which is okay, that's good. But what's even better is what we do is we combine that with our ranking strategy. So there's a strategy called, it's called search, find, buy. All right. So it's
search, find, buy.
Yeah. It's like SFB. So search, find, buy, which Amazon says they're okay with it. Like they're not going to kill the account for it, but it's a little gray hat. We call it, gray hat's a little, not quite black hat, which is basically you get someone to go find your product, you search for your product on Amazon. Because Amazon's all about it. When you go to Amazon, what do you do to find your product, right? If you want sunglasses, you type in sunglasses, right? You don't type in Jaime's such and such brand, right? So it's all search. So you search. So you get someone to search, right? So if we were launching your products, hey, what are the keywords that matter for your product? Let's get someone else to search for that. Your product's on like page 4, all right? And then, so we're going to behind the scenes have a little incentive tool set up like, hey, you're going to go find this product. You're going to go find this product on page 4. And you're going to buy it, and you're going to buy it for full price. You're not going to put a coupon in anything. And then behind the scenes, like off of Amazon, we're gonna rebate you back.
Oh, I see that on a lot of products that I buy. There's like a certain rebate or something like that.
Yeah. So the ones that do it like that you see up front, that's okay. But Amazon, they like, you get a coupon or discount.
Oh, it is a different strategy. This is like,
this is like you do it, but then back through PayPal separately. I'm gonna get you your money back. And so we have it. But that whole strategy is to automate. There's tools to automate it, so it's very easy. And so what happens is you do that several times over. Like, hey, we can calculate. Hey, you do that 10 times a day for the next 8 days. Your product's gonna go from page 4 to page 1. And once you go to page 1, like let's start reordering your product because your product's gonna sell really fast, right? And then you can do that for the next keyword. But that Amazon, we combine that with Amazon Live. So we'll do and very few people do this. We'll be like, hey, by the way, go search for this product, and we're gonna have, we have a special offer for you guys. So we'll add like a basically an incentive or a coupon or rebate for people to do that, and they'll go find it, they'll buy it, they'll get to try it, and then we won't refund the 100%. Maybe we give them like 80% or 70%. But it's just, again, we can pretty much rank to page 1 every time doing that. So that's a big one.
That's a gem. That's a gem right there. Okay. All right. Give me one.
Yeah. So another one is, so a huge thing on Amazon is so ranking, besides getting, what product should I sell? And that's, it's really the two things I'll cover: ranking, which we just talked about. And there's a little more to that, but that concept is the concept, whether you use Live or that search, find, buy. The second one is reviews. So on a platform, reviews is massive, right? So if you go look at, cell phone cases, you want to buy a case, and you see our listing with 1,000 reviews, 5-star reviews, and you see someone else with two reviews, right? Your trust factor is going to be right different. All of us do that, right? So it's a huge difference. So reviews are massive. Again, it's another area historically, black hat, blah, blah, blah. It was a huge review manipulation, right? Everybody. It was like to play the game, you had to do this if you wanted to be big. And so,
I see those too, because I look at every review. And I'll see a review that seemingly has nothing to do with this product. And I'm like, how did that?
Oh, yeah. That too. That's. So there's even some other manipulation. People will take some other dead product and they'll stick it in on the system. They'll take all these, they'll add this other product to it and bring all these reviews.
Oh, so one product that had reviews, you just change the product.
Yeah, because there's weird things on Amazon that you can move like a listing in under another listing. And it's what you're seeing that you can manipulate. Now, Amazon, you don't want to do that as a seller, but that's exactly what you're seeing. You're like, wait, these reviews, because most people don't go read the reviews. You actually read them. So everyone else just sees like, oh, there's 1,000 reviews. It must be good, right? So you're actually taking the time to read them. But to that point, reviews are super important, right? And so for Amazon, it's a problem if all the reviews are fake. It creates a big trust factor on the platform.
Sure.
So we all understand why Amazon wants it. Same thing with podcasts. If all podcast reviews are fake, that's a problem, right? You want authentic reviews. It's the same.
Speaking of which, send a review. Okay, like this, send a review. An authentic review, okay? 5-star preferably, okay? I just want to take the time out while it's on their mind.
Absolutely. It's a great point, right? And it makes all the difference in the world, right? But so along those lines, authentic reviews is ways that, how do we get authentic reviews that don't break Amazon's terms of service? A really good technique you can do, which again, 99% of people don't do, is you create an insert on your product. So like right now I've got an order with one of the partnerships I got, one of the smaller brands. The big stuff our team in China handles. But literally on the way over here, I said, all right, let's make sure we get this little insert to our manufacturer. I have a virtual assistant going to handle it.
What do you mean insert?
So an insert, so when you open a product, let's say there's a registration card for that product, right? That's probably the most common one.
Gotcha.
There might be a coupon, there might be something. So that's called a product insert.
Got it.
Right? So most people, you open an Amazon product, there's nothing, right? You just open it, nothing. What I recommend doing is you can have like a sticker. It's just like a sticker that goes on the product. And it's like a little barcode they can zap with their phone, or it could be a website, a landing page it takes them to. And what we do is we offer, we'll offer a little gift card. Hey, you can do other things. Hey, a free product. We'll offer a gift card. It takes them into totally automated, you don't need to do this yourself in terms of, it takes them into, people are familiar with like ManyChat or chat flows. It takes them into a little automated, like in their Facebook Messenger. It handles them. It gives them it takes them into a review flow, and then takes them into write a little review for us. We stay within guidelines. We don't say you have to give us a 5-star review because you're not allowed to do that on Amazon. But we know from the math, like we get a massive number of reviews for that, and our competitors that aren't doing it are like, we just leave them in the dust.
Right.
And so, assuming you have a good quality product, right? Just like I said in digital, if you have a good quality product, you're adding real value. You do these things that we're talking about to get to page 1, and you have reviews. Reviews really drive your conversion because, if you have one review, your conversion rate might be, 10%. You don't need a lot of, you have 50 reviews, 100 reviews, your conversion rate be, 30%, 40% every time people go on that product. And you leave your competitors in the dust.
Wow. And here's the thing. I know you have like 100 more hacks, right? One more. Then we gotta get out of here. One more Amazon hack.
Well, I'll tell you, sure. I'll cover the third big pillar. I covered the reviews, ranking your product. There's a bunch of other stuff which isn't as, sexy. We don't talk about it. You need to learn how to do all those in the right order. But the third, the huge one, which really, I almost forget that it's such a big one. I know it for people, but sometimes I almost underestimate is what product to sell itself, right? So it's like some people have like analysis paralysis. They're just, or fear of getting, that's the thing that
would be me.
Stop them. All right, yeah. So you're not so much fearful like, how do I rank? He's like, I can figure it. Someone will show me how to do that. But it's like, what product do I sell? And this one, I won't call it so much like a hack, but it's one that has been super powerful that we're doing more now. My friend David, I was telling about that. Him and his wife have been selling their businesses. And we learned this from the digital world, is this, instead of starting with what product I'm going to sell. Then the last couple of years, we used to teach, don't worry about what product. Start with which keywords have huge opportunities. Like change your mind for a moment. Which keywords have big opportunities that are in demand on Amazon, but there's not a lot of product fulfilling that demand, right? So you can start, that's another layer.
Explain, what do you mean?
Yeah, sorry. So like if I say, let's research keywords, forget about your product. Let's use some tools and let's look up cell phone accessories through these tools that tell you.
What kind of tools?
Software tool, like a software tool that says, how many times per month does someone search for this term on Amazon?
Yes. Okay.
And then how much do these different sellers sell on Amazon? You can see, like if you pull up our products, you go, wow, you do 200,000 a month on that product. You do 300,000 a month on that product. You'll see guys, the massage gun. You'll see, you guys do $2 million in sales per month.
I got one of those.
200,000, right? Yeah. That's massive business, but you can see everyone on page 1 exactly how much they sell. It's very transparent to understand, which is great. So you can understand.
And what are the tools that you use?
Yeah, so there's different software tools. One of my favorites is called Sellerize. It's like Sellerise. Sellerize. You go Sellerize coupon. We have a little code.
Okay.
So there's another one called Jungle Scout's a big one. Like there's a Chrome extension. You pull up on Amazon, it just shows it all.
Gotcha.
It's pretty cool. There's a couple different tools if people, we can figure out how to get people all the tools that we use. So there's just software. Back in the day when we first started, this stuff didn't exist. Now there's tools out there. The only tools I talk about is the ones we use.
Gotcha.
But
okay, so we use these tools, put in what people are, find out what people are searching.
Yeah. So, but really, what I want to tell people to do is, and I know if people, if you're not selling, that right there is not new. Like how to do that. The difference, the thing that we've been doing the last year or two, which again, very few people do, is, I was saying product and I was saying what searches, but before that is we call a community, right? So now, which isn't, people don't think about that so much in terms of e-commerce. So again, the digital space, we're going to build a community of, your entrepreneurs, we're building this. So for example, I'll use David and Leah because they just crushed this over the last year and they're selling this business like this week for like over $7 million in less than 2 years. Is they figured out, all right, there's a lot of people that are into gardening. Like I'm not into gardening, but there's like these people are really into gardening. So find something that people are really into. It doesn't have to be really into, people, fitness. Like for example, fitness, there's women that are just really into fitness. There's women over 40 into this. There's all these communities that exist online. Like think about Facebook groups, right? So just think about guys and figure out, let's say entrepreneurs, a group of entrepreneurs. All right, what are products that entrepreneurs, get into? So this is the idea is you take a community of people. You have all the power of Amazon. You have all the power of the ranking strategy we talk about, all the power. But then you use that community. You can either create this Facebook group yourself. It could be, LinkedIn group. It could be on Instagram, or you can literally go buy these groups. Just people that run these Facebook groups for years and they're like tired of running them. Like it could be people that like bicycling, You're like, hey, I'd like to buy that group. They're like, what? They're like, yeah, let me give you $500 for your group. It's got like, it's got like 30,000 members in it, And it's like, all right, whatever, I'm tired of this anyways.
I love it.
So we'll buy, or, Instagram account, you can buy an Instagram account. But the whole concept is if you understand like a community, and it doesn't have to be, people, are passionate about, you don't build the community around your specific product. You build the community just around whatever their collective interest is, but your product fits into that interest, right? So now so my friend, the gardening community, they come out, he's got like a bonsai tree kit on Amazon. It sells for, I think it sells for like $30, $40 or something. And then within this community, people go crazy over it. Or when he launches the product or he wants reviews, hey, we have a special offer. Here it is. You guys get it for, instead of 80, he probably can do it for 30% off. And they'll go boom, boom, they'll all go buy the product. And it's very little marketing. It's just, so the whole concept of community, you have like raving fans built in. And then you combine that with what I said, the keyword and all the details. It's like super powerful to have. And then when you go to sell the business, right, we talked about it earlier about selling the business, like, oh, you have an Amazon brand. Like, okay, I have an Amazon brand. What else? Do you have an email list with that? I will say, in my case, the typical Amazon stuff, no. Do you have a community? Do you have Facebook? No. Do you have Instagram? No. It's like, oh, what about you over here? Well, no, I have, I use this little insert. So we collect emails. I've got our own community. Gotcha. We've got Instagram. They're like, ooh, I'll pay you, I'll pay you 7 times your earnings. I'll buy your business for 3 times.
I just like the conversation around building something and selling it. That might be, I got to have you on a part 2. We just talked about buying and selling buildings. Jamie, thank you so much, man. This has been a wealth of knowledge. Okay, so, and I got to ask you this publicly because I didn't ask you before. Is there like a promo code that we can set up for my listeners?
There's definitely a promo code we can set up. Yeah.
Did I ask you that before I asked you this? Did I ask you before this interview? Did I ask you to give a discount?
We didn't talk about it before anything.
I just want people to know. I try to put people on the spot. Okay, I want to tie people's hands and make them say yes. Okay,
you're good. You make us feel comfortable, but then I'm like, he's made me feel so comfortable. I got to step up. I got to step up.
Can we make it social proof just to make it easy? Social proof.
Absolutely.
I don't even know what the discount is going to be. Just make it social proof and put it in.
Absolutely.
I'll have a link here. We'll have a link to
absolutely.
We'll
set that. The team will set all that for you. So
sweet. Listen. And last question is, can you help me with a store? Like, because my wife would be super cool with that. Because we don't have to have inventory and product. It's just understanding the game, learning the game, and how to play it.
Yeah.
It's going down, Jay.
We got you, man.
It's going down. All right, I got to do a quick commercial, okay? I want you to think of something deep and profound to end this interview with, okay? But I got to do a quick commercial real quick, all right? All right, cool. So this episode is sponsored by The Morning Meetup, themorningmeetup.com, themorningmeetup.com. Jamie, actually, I'm going to tell you about it, themorningmeetup.com. It's the only community it's the only organization or network that gathers a community of people every single day for the betterment of entrepreneurship. So every month I have like a theme. And every day, Monday through Friday, I'm teaching entrepreneurs, entrepreneurship, and I'm bringing on experts and high-level entrepreneurs. Actually, can you talk on the call this month?
Sure. Yeah.
Sweet. So 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm just giving away the game, and I'm bringing on experts of entrepreneur. We have a book club. We just finished The One Thing by Gary Keller. Next week, we're going to start on Who Moved My Cheese. Mm-hmm. And literally this year so far, we've read 3 books together. I've never read 3 books cover to cover in any year, ever.
Awesome. That's awesome.
And it's about 100 other people have done the same thing. So it's very important that you come on to themorningmeetup.com. You can start for $1 trial for 7 days. Just see if you like it. If you like it, stay. If you don't, no obligation, no commitment. You can just leave. It's cool. But go to themorningmeetup.com and give yourself a chance. You might see Jamie on there. I'm trying to get Jamie on there more than was because you got a wealth of knowledge.
Cool, man.
You're one of the most successful people I've ever met. So yes, go to themorningmeetup.com and enroll. One question for you. So I like to make predictions on the podcast.
Sure.
Where do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years or accomplishing in the next 5 to 10 years so that I can watch this interview later and say, listen, I talked to Jamie 5 years ago. He said he was going to do it. Look, he's actually doing it. This is cool. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I think what I want to do is I want to get involved in buying more brands. We will, and kind of the mentoring stuff. It can be the coaching stuff in this way, which what we're doing now is passionate about. We love that too. But also just it's a little bit different in terms of, I said earlier, I was on the side of kind of being a hired gun on the private equity side, but I'm interested in being on that side a bit more in terms of more the investor side. And I do have fun with the Amazon stuff and the e-commerce stuff is cool, but also just the entrepreneurial game in total. So helping, I love some of these young entrepreneurs that are out there doing really cool things and wouldn't mind investing in some of these guys and being part of it. Because I do enjoy to have friends that are like, yeah, we're going to take a couple years off. I'm like, why? This stuff's fun to me, man. Like, I enjoy the personal stuff with the family and travel. But on the business stuff, we're still learning. Things change quick too. So that's why we stay sharp. But my goal would be is to really eventually pull myself out of the running kind of the e-com businesses and more on the investing side and branching out to some other entrepreneurship stuff.
I like that, man. Listen, I'm gonna build I'm gonna hire you to teach me how to build an Amazon store, and I'm gonna sell it back to you. Okay?
Yeah, I'm good with that because we're actually looking. That's what I tell the guys, like, hey, I want to buy these brands before these other big entrepreneurs because I know we can help plug those things in to grow to bigger levels too.
That's amazing, man. Listen, thank you so much, Jamie. Go ahead. I guess let everybody know how they can find you, man, how they can get in touch with you, and then close us out with a word of wisdom.
I know you said you're going to have a link, I think, right, involved with stuff there too. So, but people are free to reach out. On Instagram, if you look up Jaime Davidson, it's JamieDavidson.official. Feel free to reach out. Guys want to text my personal cell phone number? I'll give it out just if you guys want to text me. This isn't a community. It's 404-275-8643. Probably text or whatever if there's something.
You just give your number out like that?
I'm fearless. I think it'll be all right. It's all good. I love the entrepreneurial community, so it'll be
I love it.
It's good. But I know Instagram is probably the way most people can find. Sometimes it's just buried amongst there, but if there's something truly, reach out. But I know I said you'll put a link out through your stuff, so probably that's a good path as well too. So
good. And whatever discount code, the code is going to be social proof. So whatever, if you want to get into the Amazon game, the promo code will be social proof, all one word. We can do that, right?
Yeah,
social proof. Okay, cool. All right, yeah, man. Close us out with a word of wisdom, man. You got to put a bow on this thing.
Yeah, my thought is, obviously we're about physical products, but it's fun. I've been having some fun discussions with. We do pretty well. There's a gal down in Florida. She's her and her husband are legit billionaires down in South Beach, Miami. And so it's a whole nother perspective. Mm-hmm. And she's been involved in these discussions because they're all about selling physical products too. But I do believe, if you're in entrepreneurship at some point, I do believe everyone should have a physical product to sell, whether that's Amazon or through other channels is great. And again, just a huge believer in the entrepreneurial game. I love what you talked about with groups and what you're doing with, community and people. That I would just encourage everyone to try to plug into those things, because it is, our success was a lot partnering with some other people at it. And it's really hard to go at it alone. And it's a lot of fun to, like the stuff you said, book clubs, entrepreneurship, get out there when, things are okay to travel more, get out there and meet with people in person, find communities online, and then mix it out. So it's like, I think our mutual friends, Neo, Crust Pass, and again, you and I may have never met. To me, the more I'm excited about what you guys are doing and plugging in, because we'll pick up nuggets too. So
for sure, man, I appreciate it. Listen, we can't close it out no better than that. Do me a favor, man. For one, go follow Jaime Davidson. Number two, I want you to go get you some social proof. Okay, I want you to spend the next 6-12 months building something. Go learn, go grow, and actually build something. But then you got to go back to your community and teach someone else how you did it. That's the only way our community grows. All right, we are out of here. Peace.
Finally, you asked for it. And we created a Patreon, okay? We created an inner circle. We have amazing stories, amazing information, how-tos from the episodes. The only thing we're missing is a community. So it's about that time. We put together our Patreon, we put together a community, because we have to have conversation around the information. So even this podcast we're listening to right now, there needs to be conversation. I want to hear what you got. Like, let's throw some stuff back and forth. And because we're like-minded, we're all going in the same direction. When we connect in a community, we can connect on other stuff outside the community, because we're building real relationships. Okay, so check out the Patreon. We got 3 tiers. I don't care what tier you join. The support is appreciated.